All right, and remember, we will take questions, but you'll need to go ahead and type those in. We don't open up the phone lines because usually you have 100 or more folks on the line and lots of background noise. So if you have a question, no matter what time it is, if I just started or if it's down the road, go ahead and type it into your little control panel thing that you have there, and at the end we'll take all of your questions. So this is Let There Be Leads, the ultimate guide to marketing your home care business, part 2 of 4. Now this is actually the third webinar. The first one we did was sort of to go over the book and some of the things that were going on. And the second one is sort of an introduction to the guide. The second one we did specifically for franchise owners. So I didn't call that part anything. It was just a Let There Be Leads webinar for franchise owners. So if you're looking for that, you can go to our website at ltcsocialmark.com and go to the blog, and you'll be able to find that. And by the way, my name is Valerie Van Boeven, and my business partner George Novison is on. Hi, George.
Hi, Valerie. Hi, everyone.
And so I'm glad you all could be here. So we're going to go ahead and get started with today with our webinar. This is not going to be a real long one, but I wanted to rewind a little bit because I think this confuses a lot of people. I know it has confused me in the past. Look at defining your message, your call to action, and your unique selling proposition. The words unique selling proposition have been around for a really long time, but I don't think folks really understand what that is. I know a lot of home care agents their message, and I'll tell you what a call to action is as well. So all these things work together to bring in more leads and more prospects. So I'm going to do my little 10-second commercial about the book. First of all, George, myself, and Steve Weiss put together a great comprehensive book that's not super long. It's about, I don't know, 148 pages or something like that. And it is available. It's an electronic version only. We are trying to save trees. We might do some print on demand later, but for now it's electronic only. It is available at Amazon.com. It's $5.99, so it's super, super cheap. It was released. We had lots of people, probably over 100 orders that were for the or pre-release orders, meaning they ordered it before it was actually available for download. But it was released on March 7th, so when you order it, you get instant download. And I know that folks ask me all the time, well, I don't have a Kindle, so I can't read it. And that's not true. If you order an electronic book on Amazon, you can read it on any device. You can read it on your phone, you can read it on your laptop, you can read it on your PC, you can read it on your iPad. There's something called the Kindle Reader that's free. It's an app you can download to any of those mobile devices. And when you log into your Amazon account, you can download or read any of the books that you've purchased that are in electronic version. And I know that if you just go to Amazon.com and you buy something that's electronic, you can use they have a cloud reader right there. It says read right now in the cloud reader. And you can just go ahead and read it in the cloud. You don't even have to download it to your device. So it is available on all devices, and you can read it anytime you like. We do have a private Facebook group for marketing and a private LinkedIn group. The private Facebook group is more active. Steve and I have both been posting interesting information and cool stuff in there, and we will get more active with that as time goes on. If you buy the book, if you email me the receipts, I will put you into the private Facebook and the private LinkedIn group. Lots of folks are in there, and we welcome everyone who's purchased the book. So that's my commercial. That was longer than 10 seconds, though, I see. All right, let's see here. Okay, so let's talk about what a unique selling proposition is. I think I skipped a slide here. So a unique selling proposition has been around for a million years, the word unique selling proposition. So what we're going to do is, and what we're going to think about today, is taking a look at any local home care agency's website. Look at all of the national franchise sites, and what do you see? You see a lot of similar messages, a lot of statistics that are similar. Some folks have done a really good job of setting themselves apart. You all know, as well as I do, that there are only so many ways you can slice home care services. There's only so many ways you can talk about it. and you all have a lot of competition out there. So the important thing to try and think about, whether you've been in business a long time or if you are starting a new business, is how are you going to set yourself apart? And I'm going to show you some examples that are in the industry and outside of the industry so that you can see what other folks are doing. So a unique selling proposition is also called a USP. And a USP, some folks think it's misunderstood. I think it's misunderstood because it can be defined. And think of your website sort of as an advertisement as we go along here. So each advertisement, or let's say your website, must make a proposition to the consumer. Not just words, product puffery, or show window advertising. Each advertisement or website must say to the reader, choose this service for this specific benefit. The proposition must be one the competition cannot or does not offer. It must be unique, either in brand or in a claim the rest of that particular advertising area does not make. So we're talking about something that's unique to you and not to the rest of the industry or your competitors out there. The proposition must be strong enough to move the masses. For instance, attract new customers as well as potential customers. So that is what a USP is, a unique selling proposition. So here's an example that is not in the home care industry, but one that's a lot of you will probably recognize. I didn't know what this was until last year, and since then, our family, when they're on sale, have bought several pairs of Tom's shoes. They're really nice. Tom's shoes are quirky, comfy, light, and inexpensive. They're great summer shoes, by the way. That alone maybe isn't enough to make a company stand out in the shoe business. The most unique and compelling part of the Tom's Shoes story is that they give a new pair of shoes to a child in need for every pair you purchase. Who else cares that much? And this is a little screenshot from their website. So it's called the One-for-One program. So every time we buy a pair of shoes from Tom's, we know that a child who cannot afford a pair of shoes is given one. And we really like that. Now that's not, we usually, frankly, we're Walmart buyers. So we will buy shoes at Walmart. We don't always buy Tom's because although it says they're inexpensive, I think they're kind of expensive, especially for kids who outgrow them really fast. So if they're on sale, we'll buy some. But I do like this unique selling proposition. I like that a child somewhere will get a pair of shoes. That makes me very happy. So that is an example of a unique selling proposition. Here are some other examples of unique selling propositions that you've heard of before. Head and Shoulders, you get rid of the dandruff. I think now they say Head and Shoulders above the rest is kind of their tagline. Unique propositions that were pioneers when they were introduced. Anacin, fast, is it Anacin? Oh, Anacin, who am I? Fast, incredibly fast relief. In 1952, Rosser Reeves created a TV commercial that capitalized on Anacin's special ingredient, caffeine, and so that was their thing. Domino's Pizza, fresh hot delivery in 30 minutes. I noticed Pizza Hut doesn't do that 30 minutes thing. They kind of copied off that for a while. They don't do that anymore. FedEx, when your package absolutely, positively has to get there overnight. I don't know if they use that anymore, but these are kind of the originals. M&M's, melt in your mouth, not in your hand. Guess what? They do melt in your hand now. Metropolitan Life, get met, it pays. I think they've changed that, but it's still pretty cute with the Peanuts gang. And then Southwest Airlines, we are the low-fare airline, and they pretty much still are, although airfares have gone up a lot. So these are all unique selling propositions. All of these folks have had tons and tons and tons over the years of competition. Think about Domino's Pizza. There's a huge amount of competition in the pizza world. So having a unique selling proposition is really important. Every commercial, every online ad, every newspaper has some unique selling proposition attached to it. And that's how these folks are, one of the ways these folks have been able to set themselves apart from the others. And that's what we're talking about for home care. So I'm going to give you some examples. I've taken out all the names to protect everyone, but I want to give you some examples of the calls to action or the main messages on some big websites out there for home care. And they're all kind of the same, and so I just want you to see what we're wrestling with. So example number 1, local, loving, in-home care. We help maintain independence and quality of life. Senior care, respite care, advanced care needs. Blank blank caregivers travel to clients' homes to provide care services and living assistance, allowing seniors and disabled individuals to live comfortably and independently. Now, these messages are excellent. They're excellent messages. I love the way they've tried to be creative about how they explain their services. They're all good. But the challenge here is that none of them are unique. So let's look at the next one. Example number 2, keeping the heart at home. When a blank blank caregiver arrives, you're doing more than ensuring premium care for your loved one. You're gaining peace of mind in knowing everything is under your control, and getting the in-home care you need can be surprisingly affordable. I see the words premier and surprisingly affordable in the same paragraph, and I wonder. But anyway, peace of mind. A lot of folks talk about peace of mind on their websites. If you're like most people, you're looking for the best care available for yourself and your family. As your loved ones experience the physical and emotional effects of aging, such as memory-related disorders, dementia, and Alzheimer's, illness or injury, you're seeking reassurance that their safety, comfort, dignity, and well-being will be protected as they continue to live independently in their homes. XX opens doors to peace of mind, providing the high-quality care your loved one deserves. Very nice message, not so much different from the rest of the ones that we've looked at. This is a different one. Life at home is the key to independence. Blank blank home care is dedicated to delivering compassionate, non-medical, and skilled care to clients at home by trained and dedicated staff who continuously strive for excellence. We provide personalized home care and related home support services to individuals regardless of age. The services we offer span from pediatric to geriatric care, and from minimal needs for socialization, transportation, and homemaker services to the more personal needs of grooming, bathing, and other assistance with activities of daily living, to the highly complex technology-dependent care requiring significant skill intervention. Just let me say this about this. Too much. Although it's a very nice message, it's too complicated for the average reader. Whew. And it's a lot to absorb. I would have to read that 4 or 5 times if I were a layperson. In fact, if I weren't a registered nurse, I would have no idea what 90% of that just said. But nice message all the same. They're getting it all in there. All right, example number 5, taking care of the greatest generation, yours. When you're faced with needing care or giving care, a little help can go a long way. Blank Blank provides one-on-one compassionate in-home care services to seniors, new and expectant mothers, working parents, individuals in need of continuing and recuperative home care. From a few hours a week to around-the-clock home care, we're here to help. Actually, this is one of the ones I like the most of all of them. All are great messages. These are all probably major brands. Can't remember exactly where I took them all from, but they're major franchises probably, and they all have great messages. But they all say almost exactly the same thing, almost. Pretty close. If this one said something about peace of mind, I would be less than shocked. So, how can your message give you the edge? So, you have to think about it this way, especially if you're an independent home care agency. And even if you're not, there are ways that you can set yourself apart in your community by using the messages that your franchise has already given you, or by enhancing the ones they've already given you. So how can your message give you the edge? There are a couple of ways to do that, and I'm sure you can probably brainstorm with your staff and think of more. Number 1, you can try and specialize, which is something I would highly recommend. And the other one is something along the lines of what TOMS does, although it may not be to another country or to children in need, but can you give back to your community in some way? And can you talk about how you give back to your community? And that doesn't mean that you're giving away something for free every time someone signs up for home care, but if you make a big deal about your community outreach efforts and you really do participate in a lot of things that help your community, and you put that information on your website, then you can really make a difference, and you can talk about how you are one of the best agencies that gives back to the community in town, and people will very much respect you for that. So there are a couple of ways you can specialize. Or you can set yourself apart. So if you specialize, here are some options. And of course, this isn't every option, but if you're going to specialize, the deal is this. you need to really specialize, not just say that your staff is trained for something in particular. You really need to do it. So, for instance, if, I heard someone say not too long ago, in fact, I think it was my dad, he was giving a restaurateur some advice, and he said that if you are going to only have 3 desserts on your menu, cheesecake, chocolate cake, and, I don't know, blueberry pie, and in your that's all you're going to have, then they very well better be the best 3 things, 3 desserts in town. If all you're going to have is 3 desserts, and you're going to really highlight them, and you're going to have specials on them, then they better be the very best desserts. That's one way you can set yourself apart. In other words, don't go buy a chocolate cake at Sam's Club and cut it up and freeze it and then serve it. That's not okay. If you only have 3 desserts, make sure that it's handmade, it's great, it's awesome, and it's something you can be proud of. So if you specialize, here are some examples of specialized services. Alzheimer's and dementia trained staff. Now, this is the prime example of what everyone likes to say they do, but we are wondering, as I'm not a lay person, so lay people don't know much about the difference, although if you really have trained staff, whether it's Alzheimer's Whisperers or the Al's Better program, which is one of my favorites because they have so many cool things you can do with that. There's a difference between watching 5 Teepa Snow videos on YouTube and really going through training of some kind. So, and she's great, but I mean, there's really a difference between true training and having your staff watch some videos. So, is your staff Alzheimer's and dementia trained? Think about the percentage of clients that you currently have that really do have memory loss issues. Probably a fair amount. And if that's the case, and they probably tend to be pretty long-term clients, so in that case, that means your margins are probably pretty good on those folks, and they really do bring in a long-term set of income or revenue for your business. So if you want to specialize in dementia care trained staff, then make that investment and put it on your website and really show people, and in your sales presentation when you're opening a new case or you're going out to do an in-home evaluation, really talk about the in-depth training that your staff has received, because those families will very much appreciate that, as opposed to the next guy who comes in the door and just has a little blip about it on their brochure. Veterans care, VA aid and attendance pension benefit. This is a low-margin business, but helping veterans get qualified for this type of assistance can increase your bottom line. And mobility issues, although this should be a bullet point. Another one would be mobility issues like Parkinson's disease, ALS, MS, etc. If you are a home care agency that wants to specialize in mobility issues, then that's something that you, A, need to train your staff on or find a training program for them, and B, really make a big deal about it, because there are tons of folks out there with mobility issues. That's probably, aside from memory loss and dementia, that's the next one that folks have the most trouble with is mobility. So these are the top 3 things I think that you could specialize in, but you have to make the investment in your staff, and you have to know, especially if you go back to veterans care, which you really don't have to have any special training to care for someone who's a veteran, but to know where to go for that VA aid and attendance pension benefit, either nationally or in your local area, and to get that started is really important. So those are the kinds of things that I think are probably the top 3 that you can specialize with. We've also seen folks who specialize in hospital-to-home transitions, reducing hospital readmission rates. That's a great one, but even if you're a non-medical in-home care agency, you need to make sure you're keeping track of a couple of things. When you open up a case, you need to make sure you ask the question, when was the last time you were in the hospital, and what hospital do you prefer to go to? Or what hospital were you in the last time? And why were you in the hospital? Was it? And then they might tell you it's because I had, my congestive heart failure got really bad, or I had pneumonia. Well, you all should know by now that congestive heart failure and pneumonia are two of the things that our local hospitals, doctors, rehabs, and SNFs are getting dinged on for. They're getting dinged as far as payments go if they have increased incidence of readmission rates on those diagnoses. So if you're asking the right questions on intake, when was the last time you were in the hospital and why were you in the hospital and which hospital were you at, those are the kinds of things that you can keep track of, whether it's on an Excel spreadsheet or it's in some kind of CRM system. If you know that Joe was in the hospital last week for pneumonia and now he's coming to you, he's over the pneumonia, but the family has decided that he needs some non-medical in-home care to kind of help him, you know, remind him to take his medicine perhaps, or get him to his doctor's appointments on time. If you know that, you can document that information, and if you keep Joe, if you know that Joe's in your service and he does not go back into the hospital for a diagnosis of pneumonia over the next 30 days, then you have kept someone out of the hospital for 30 days. You need to document that stuff. Home health care is pretty used to documenting those things, but non-medical home care, you can do that just as well as medical home health care can. You just have to remember to ask the right questions. Next, if you specialize in live-in caregivers, that's awesome. You should talk about that on your website quite a bit. There are lots of folks who do not want to do live-in care, and there are a lot of folks that we have that do like to specialize in live-in care. Pediatric home care services. Now, this would be probably more for the medical home health care model, but if you do pediatrics, and even if you're non-medical and you do, you know, sick kid stays that are kind of, you know, mom has to go to work that day, but little Joey is sick, and it's not something that requires medical intervention, but he just needs someone to be at home with him, then, you know, make sure you play it up. Boy, there are times when I would love to have somebody who could just hang out with the girls when they're not feeling good so that I can get some work done and Charlie can do his thing. But I don't know of a service that actually does that at the last minute. And then there's new mom care. So if you specialize in new mom care, some do not want to even go there. But, you know, that's when a mom has a, you know, comes home with her baby. Maybe she's had a C-section, or maybe she has other issues, and she needs somebody to help her take care of the baby so she can get a shower and feel a little better. Post-stroke care, you can specialize in that. Post-surgical care, which is sort of like hospital-to-home transitions. And then, of course, there's cardiac care, and that may be for more of the medical home health. But still, if you want to specialize in one of these, don't just say you do. Don't just put it on your website or put it on your brochure. Really take the time to get trained and understand it. Okay, so your unique selling proposition creates your message. So the messages that are on your website, whatever those unique things are that you want to do, those are also the messages that should be on your website, on your brochure, and on the information that you hand out to folks. So here are some messages that sound nice but are pretty much the same as everyone else. And another word for that is a platitude. So platitude is something that's saying the same thing over and over again. So I always kind of like to make this funny. Everybody says they provide quality care. Of course you provide quality care. As opposed to what kind of care? As opposed to bad quality care? Right, of course. Everybody does quality care. That's a platitude. Of course you're going to say that, and of course you're going to provide quality care. Specialized care. Some folks will say they provide specialized care without defining what that means, without backing it up with what kind of training went into it. So we have a lot of folks out there that are saying they have specialized care, but no one really knows what that means in the nebulous. It's just there. We treat clients like family. I don't know if that's so good or not. For some families that'd be great. Some families would be turned off by that. So, but I do see a lot of we treat clients like family. Not so impressed by that one. Dependable, reliable caregivers. Of course they should be dependable and reliable. I know you have to say it. We all have to say all these things to reassure the reader that we're doing the right thing by their family member, but we also need something that sets us apart. So these aren't bad messages. They just are the same messages over and over again. Family-owned and operated. Most home care agencies are family-owned and operated. Not all, especially when you get into the bigger home health, Medicare size, big, giant organizations. They're not all, but a lot of our smaller ones are usually family-owned, husband and wife operated. We provide peace of mind. You all saw that in a couple of our examples that we used. Of course, you provide peace of mind. You better provide peace of mind or you won't be working for that client for long, right? Peace of mind is something that everybody uses. And then compassionate care. Of course, you are hopefully providing caregivers who are compassionate, who understand. You know, the frail elderly need, you know, they are slower, they need more help. Of course, it should be compassionate care. So these are all what we call platitudes, meaning everybody uses them. Yes, that's what the consumer wants to see. They want to know you're going to be nice to their family member and take good care of them. But what you need to do is make sure that you have a unique selling proposition that creates your message. So along with all of this, what is it that you do that the 50 other home care agencies in my area don't do? Is there anything different about you? So, and just saying, you know, we have the best caregivers. You probably do have the best caregivers, but how are you going to convince me of that? So, just find something unique about you. Here's a couple of examples. This is actually a screenshot of the front of the Al's Better website. Now, this is not a home care agency, and I'm just tooting their horn because I know the folks that put this together. And it's at alzbetter.com, ALZBETTER.com. You can go there and look at their resources, training, and they didn't ask me to do this. I just know that this is a great program. If you really want to set yourself apart, there are several Alzheimer's training programs out there, but if you have a lot of dementia, memory loss clients, this might be something worth investing in and having your caregivers learn about. They do have a lot of really cool resources and information and books and ways to handle those Alzheimer's clients. And this is actually developed by home care agency owners who are independent. They developed this program to help with their own Alzheimer's clients, and now they help other folks learn more about it, and they're based in New Jersey. Very long-time home care agency owners that do a lot of volume, so they understand and know all of the stressors that you face, and they know how to help you set yourself apart. So I really like this program. And then this is a example. This is a screenshot again of a website that we just completed, and this is a little bit of a different take. It's not for everybody, but Artful Home Care is an organization. It's in the Hamptons, and this gal put this agency together. She's got an artistic background, and she explains inside the website, you know, why they put this together and who it's good for. It's not just a home care agency, it's a way of life. They provide enriching home care, a whole life approach. And you can read more about that inside the website. And that website is artfulhomecare.net, I believe. So you can look at any of these websites, either of these actually, and just look at some of the ways that other people are setting themselves apart in their local areas. So those are some examples, but I would encourage you to think about what might set you apart in the kind of training that you can put on your website, in your brochures, and expand upon and really hit home with the folks in your local area. Again, there's the book if you want to read it. This is we talk about this in the book. We don't go into this much detail, but of course we talk about all these things in Let There Be Leads. Does anybody have any questions? George is on the line. I'm on the line. We're happy to answer them if you have any. Much congrats for the lovely messages. Okay, so I do have some thank yous and some great stuff, and thank you very much for all that, folks. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Or if you have any questions for George, he'd be happy to answer those. George is great with business development, any online marketing questions or anything like that. And if not, that's okay too. If you want to contact us privately, you can go to ltcsocialmark.com or call us at 888-404-1513. And you can also contact George at george@ltcep.com. That's an L, by the way. And I think a lot of people think it's an I, but it's an L. So that's it. And George, I think I'm getting a lot of, wow, this is great. I don't have a lot of questions. So if that's it, then we're going to call it a day. All right, everybody? Oh, here's a question. What are the items families are looking for when searching for care for a loved one, quality or safety or what? That's a good question. What are people searching for online? First of all, the first thing they're searching for is someone local to their aging loved one. So that's the most important thing. So if they're online and if they live in West Winnemucca, Nevada, or that's where their parent lives, they're looking for home care in West Winnemucca, Nevada. So, so the first thing to know about all of this is that if you have a website, you need to be on the first page of Google for your local service area, and more than one of them. So if you're located in West Winnemucca and you service the surrounding areas, you need to be visible online in those areas that you service. So the first thing they're looking for is just to find someone local to them, and then once they find somebody who's local, and keep in mind that probably 40% of these folks are now on mobile devices. That doesn't mean they're on their phone necessarily, but they're on a small tablet, an iPad, or something like that. So they're on a mobile device. They're looking for home care in their aging parents' area. Once they find that list, they're going to start looking at websites, messages. The next question they're going to have is, and if their parent does have memory loss issues or mobility issues, and they see that you specialize in that, then chances are they're going to give you a call first. So your messages are important, but being found in your local area is even more important, and that's what we tend to help folks do, is get found in their local area online. And where should your unique selling proposition be on your website? Your unique selling proposition should always be on your home page. It doesn't have to be above the fold or above the scroll line, but you definitely need to talk about what sets you apart somewhere on the home page of your website, and it should be very easy to click on an icon or a message and then go to a full page that opens up and talks more about that. What are ways home health care organizations give back to the community? Local scholarships, community fun events. You know what, Kyle? There's a huge amount of ways that any business, just think about it from a business owner's perspective. It could be scholarships. It could be, maybe it's supporting a local Little League team. Maybe it's the Alzheimer's Walk in the fall. Maybe it's supporting your area agency on aging. Maybe it's helping with Meals on Wheels on Friday afternoons, or making sure that if in the cold weather that you go to a homeless shelter and give the homeless shelter some new blankets. There are tons and tons of ways that, whether as community members, as individuals, and as business owners, we can give back to our community. So if you do something like that, the most important thing you can do is make sure you put a little article about it on your website in the form of a blog post. Make sure it hits all the social media. I'm not a fan of just talking about, me all the time. But when you're giving back to your community, you have to let the rest of the world know about it. It's important to do that. If you end up on the news, we've had some clients who ended up on the news because they were doing something in a crisis mode, like during a hurricane or a storm, to help seniors in their community. Maybe they were bringing them blankets, or in the hot weather bringing them box fans. If that's the case, then you need, and for some reason the news channel picks that up, or you let them know you're doing that, then make sure that video ends up on your website, so people, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, so people can know more about you and how you give back to your community. So I think that's the last question. Thank you so much, everybody. Think about your unique selling proposition, and if you need help, go to our website or be sure to give us a ring or an email. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.